Hello, hello, LinkedIn. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Facebook. I'll get started in a few minutes here. I want to pull up all of the information I need here. Let's see. Happy Wednesday. Let's see if I can get any of the comments pulled up on here. Maybe it's in the chat. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to put a little message in the chat just so I can make sure that it's working. Hey, hi, Timothy. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I just put, yay, all that stuff went into the chat. That's what I like to see. Okay, so I am Dr. Marissa. I am the education director with Movement RX, and I'm here in place of Dr. T today because she is hosting a leadership training for one of the organizations that we work with down in North Carolina. So they're spending a full, I think, 2 days on all things well-being in the workplace. So they're going over movement and sleep and nutrition and mindset and all sorts of stuff. But today I'm going to bring a small piece of that to you guys. And so what we're talking about today is finding focus and flow at work. And so we're going to go over a couple of little lifestyle tweaks or lifestyle practices that you can maybe add into the workplace to find that sort of focus and flow at work that is sometimes missing. I know I'll get a little, a little bit overwhelmed sometimes with work, or it feels chaotic, or I feel super tired at the end of the day because I was just grinding and like moving from one thing to the next, and either didn't take time to step back and breathe, or forgot to eat lunch because I was involved with back-to-back webinars or something like that. And that really has an impact on how I'm feeling, not only in the middle of the day, but also toward the end of the day. So I want to start off. Don't know why there are doubles here. Timothy, I don't see doubles, but it might be popping up on LinkedIn as double posts. That's okay. The more, the better. Okay. So what I want to start with is conceptualizing how we want to feel at work, and then diving into each one of those to go over the lifestyle practices that we can use to achieve each one of those things. And so if you want, you can put in the chat how you want to be feeling at work. I have a couple listed here, but yeah, go ahead, pop in the chat if you want to. I came up with three ways that we want to feel at work. And one of them is that we want to feel focused, energetic, and alert. So I kind of put those three as their own thing. So focused, energetic, and alert, or awake. We also want to feel calm at work, right? We don't want to feel super spun up or anxious or overwhelmed or anything like that. And then the third one is that we want to feel at ease in our bodies. We don't want to feel like we're super tight or super stiff or aching. Yeah, comfortable and focused. Tim, those are perfect ones. We want to feel comfortable, focused, calm, at ease in our bodies. So we're going to kind of break each one of those things down and kind of trace back to the lifestyle tips that can give you those things, and then how we can bring those specifically into our workday. So the first one that I have on here is focus. And so there's a couple of lifestyle practices that we know improve focus. All right, this is not necessarily related to the workplace, but things that we know improve focus include meditation, or some sort of mindfulness practice, some sort of relaxation practice. We know that it does this by helping us to kind of befriend our chaotic mind and recognizing when our mind's all over the place, so that we can kind of look at that and say, okay, I know things are really scattered right now. Can I bring myself back to the center? Some other things that we know help focus are getting enough sleep at night. My academic background is in neuroscience and sleep science and physical therapy. So part of what I dove into when I was studying sleep was the impacts that it has on our cognitive abilities, and our ability to focus during the daytime. And so we know that if we're not getting enough sleep, we're not going to be as focused during the daytime as we would if we were getting a ton of sleep. And what I mean by a ton of sleep or enough sleep is somewhere between that 7 and 9 hour point. So that's another thing that can impact focus. Excuse me. And the last one that I have on here is hydration can also impact how focused we're feeling. So we'll talk about hydration a little bit as well. But when we're even as little as 2% dehydrated, that affects how much we're able to focus on one specific thing. Any recommendations for someone with PTSD? Timothy, it's going to be kind of a combination of all of these things. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about, especially when we come to the calm part, will be impactful for people with PTSD. We know that a brain that or someone that's dealing with PTSD, what's happening in the brain is that the fear centers kind of get unchecked. So the fear centers can just kind of run in their loops without any brakes coming down on those fear centers. And that can create a lot of anxiety, and that can create trouble sleeping, and that can create kind of constant state of stress in the body. But aside from medication and therapy, there are also all of these lifestyle practices that we have to be able to create more calm in our bodies, create better conditions for sleep, kind of dampen down that stress response. So all of the lifestyle things that we're going to talk about today are applicable to PTSD as well. Okay. So the next one I want to talk about is energy, right? We want to feel like we have enough energy to make it through our workday. And I know a lot of people get that energy through caffeine, but I would encourage you to think about if you're actually getting the energy from caffeine, or if you're using the caffeine to mask sleep deprivation and mask other nutritional problems maybe, or mindset problems that are causing fatigue. All right, if you're using caffeine as like a Band-Aid to say, nope, I'm just going to use this caffeine to get through my workday, even though the caffeine kind of just temporarily suppresses sleepiness signals. So other ways that we can sustain energy through our workday, lifestyle ways, would be our nutritional choices, right? Are we getting enough protein, or are we mostly using like high sugar snacks and treats that give us temporary energy, right? They bring our blood sugar up, which feels really energetic, but then it crashes back down again. So nutrition is one way that we have to work on energy. Another way that we can improve energy in our workday, in our life, is general movement, right? How much are we moving during the day versus how much we're sitting? And then the last piece here that we want to feel during our workday is calm, right? What are some ways that we have in general to create calm? And again, then we'll dive into how we can bring these into the workplace. But in general, in order to create more calm in our bodies, we want to focus on our breathing, right? That's one tool that we have to bring calm into the body. We have hydration, right? When we're dehydrated, that can create irritability. It can create anxiousness. And those things are not calm. And then we also have vitamin N, as Dr. Teresa likes to call it, or nature is another way that we can bring calm into the body, again, outside of the workplace. Okay, that last piece of how we want to feel, right? We wanted to feel focused and energetic. We wanted to feel calm. And the last one is that we want to feel ease in our bodies. And so a lot of this is going to come down to how much variability are we getting in our bodies just during the total course of the day, not the workplace yet. But it's getting enough movement, right? Are we spending a lot of time sedentary? Or are we getting enough movement in so that we're getting blood flow to our muscles, getting blood flow to our joints, getting blood flow to our nerves, so that those things are able to get the nutrients they need and flush out any of the waste products that they've accumulated. Because when we're sitting or not moving, even standing for a really long period of time, kind of does the same thing. But those muscles are being asked to kind of hold a specific position. And if you don't give them um, movement, then that's almost not allowing them the opportunity to get rid of their waste and to bring in new nutrients. So, how much time are we spending sedentary is going to impact how much ease we're feeling in our bodies, how comfortable we're feeling, right? We all know the feeling after we've gone for, I don't know, a walk or finished up a workout, where you get back home afterward and your body just feels kind of tired, but in a really good way, where you feel like, now I can lay on the couch and my body will feel pretty good because I feel warm and I feel loose. We want to try to bring that into our day to day. So if you want to throw in the chat, which of these you already feel you have dialed in? Do you have movement dialed in? Do you have hydration dialed in? Do you feel like your mindset and your ability to create calm is dialed in? Is your sleep dialed in? Is your nutrition dialed in? Do you have all of them dialed in, or none of them? Feel free to throw that in the chat. So all of these behaviors, all of these little lifestyle practices are often the ones that we just kind of throw out the window when we're feeling super stressed. And unfortunately, all of those activities are the things that are going to save you from that stress starting to spiral. All right. So when we get really stressed or overwhelmed at work, sometimes we say, okay, well, I guess I don't have time for my exercise today, or, oh no, I guess I'll just skip lunch because I've got so much work to do, and work through all of that, work through all of my lunch, not give myself food. Or I'm super stressed, so I'm going to work late into the night and get rid of, an extra 2 hours of sleep. Those things make stress feel much worse the next day. Or if you skip lunch, that's going to make your brain power much worse, and your blood sugar is going to get low. And so you're going to be feeling much more anxious when you're not taking care of yourself. So it's really a kind of a little bit of a paradox that we take away all of these self-care things when things get hard, when it's all of those self-care things that are going to make things easier again. So we're going to kind of transition now to how we can bring some of these things into the workplace. How do you know when you're doing too much? I have insomnia, I bike, or do something to pass the time. Any thoughts? Thank you. I think, how do you know when you're doing too much? It would be maybe a feeling of being overwhelmed would be a good metric to know if you're doing too much. You've maybe said yes to way too many things, and you feel like you don't have time to dedicate to the things that you really love doing, where you feel like, oh, I don't have time to take care of my health. I don't have time to cook healthy meals for myself. I don't have time to get in 8 hours of sleep every night. That might be a sign that you're doing too much. As for the insomnia, things to do to pass the time. When you say pass the time, Tim, I'm not sure if you mean pass the time so that you get tired and fall asleep, or you have, you're not going to fall asleep till 2 a.m. So you're trying to find things to do in order to pass the time there. But with insomnia, a lot of the times it comes from the body's stress system and the mind not being able to wind itself down. And so it's running. And what you need for sleep is for all of that running to kind of slow down, to allow you to fall asleep. So I think one of the best practices for dealing with insomnia is training the mind to be able to wind down. Yeah, to just get tired to fall asleep. Part of that, Timothy, could be during the daytime. Like maybe your body is asking for more exercise in the daytime. And so your body's just feeling kind of stagnant before you go to bed. It feels like it has energy that you didn't get out. So that can be a big one. And then, training your mind, I think, is really powerful. Training your mind to be able to wind down can really help with insomnia, because it helps you come down from super high up and stressed to kind of more of a brain state where your brain can start to generate the rhythms to to actually sleep. Okay. So, what I want to move to next is how we can take care of ourselves during our workday. So, how we can implement some of those practices that we talked about during our workday so that we've got stable energy, we've got clear focus, a happy body, and then energy for our loved ones or for ourselves at the end of the day. Instead of kind of working all day and coming home and crashing exhausted or just feeling drained at the end of the day. I think having 5 days a week where you're feeling drained at the end of the day out of 7, and then just using the weekends to catch up can't be a sustainable strategy, because then you're living 5 days of your life kind of in perpetual exhaustion and emotional exhaustion, and you've only got those 2 days of recovery. It would almost be better if we could imagine a way that we're able to program in little bits of restoration or build these restorative habits through our day so that we get to the end of the day and we feel good and we feel ready for the next day. So, the first one that I want to talk about here is nutrition during the workday. And this one is a big one because, again, most people either like skip lunch or they skip breakfast or they drink just coffee for breakfast, and then maybe at lunch it's like some chips and a sandwich, which is certainly better than nothing. But that's going to put you in a position where in the morning you don't have enough, you don't have a ton of energy that is sustainable. You're just kind of riding that caffeine wave. And so one of the ways that you can bring this into the workday is by choosing lunches and packing snacks that are going to sustain your energy throughout the day without bringing you through these big kind of sugar highs and then crashes. And so I consulted with our nutritionist, Nikki, here, and she gave us a couple of tips in order to create more stable energy. And she gave us a couple of snack options as well. And so her first tip for creating stable energy throughout the day using your nutrition is that your work lunches and your snacks shouldn't be too heavy, but they should be satiating enough to keep your attention focused and your blood sugar stable, right? And you can kind of know that if your blood sugar is dipping when you get to the afternoon and you're searching for a little like a sweet snack in the break room or something like that, or you start to feel your energy crash and you start to go for the coffee. So she advises that we focus on protein first, right? So when we're creating our meals, this includes our breakfast or whatever your first meal of the day is, focus on protein first. Make sure that there's some fiber included, right? That fiber is going to slow down the blood sugar rises and crashes. So it's going to keep our sugar a little bit more stable. And that fiber could be in the form of fruit. It can be in the form of veggies, because all of those things have extra nutrients in them that your body needs to generate sustained energy. She also avoids anything too processed, right? All of our packaged snacks, essentially, processed or high in salt. And some of her favorite convenient snacks at work that she listed here would be something like jerky sticks to help get your protein in. She gave a couple of specific ones here, but again, anything that's not too processed, doesn't have a ton of additives in it, is going to be a better bet. But that protein is going to help keep your energy more stable. She also suggested a plain Greek yogurt and granola, and then a low sugar, high protein snack bar, like a Perfect Bar, or a Rise bar, an RX bar. And then the last nutritional piece here is coming from me, and it's about caffeine. So kind of keep getting an inventory of how much caffeine you're taking in and when you're taking it in, and just asking yourself when you're using it, are you using it to make up for sleep deprivation? Are you using it to make up for poor nutritional choices? Or are you using it to make up for just exhaustion when you're committing to too many things and trying to work on too many things at a time? So really looking at why you're using that caffeine can be helpful. Okay, the next piece of how we can bring some of our lifestyle practices into the workday is around breathing. And so breathing is one of our ways to create calm in the body. It's one of our ways to create a little bit of movement, especially in the low back muscles, right? If we are practicing kind of some belly breathing, if we're doing it correctly, we're breathing into, and there we go. We're breathing into our belly, we're breathing into our sides, and that helps give our back a little bit of movement through that constant contraction and expansion with our breath. And that can help a lot with things like low back pain. So we can test how we breathe, right? One of the ways to do that is to pop one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And if you're doing a bunch of breathing up here in your chest, right, you're maybe not getting as much of a calming breath or a deep diaphragmatic breath. So what I want you to practice if you're sitting here is you can practice breathing in so that your belly hand expands, right? You can put a hand kind of on your back as well. And as you breathe in there, you should feel kind of everything open up. And those deeper breaths, even if you do practice some belly breaths for maybe a minute, what that can do is it can help lower your heart rate. It can help lower your blood pressure. It can bring down anxiety if that's starting to kick up in the middle of the day. And it helps a lot with pain. So again, if you're someone dealing with low back pain, hip pain, getting some time to kind of center yourself and breathe into your belly can help with pain as well. Okay, the last little piece about how we can bring some of these lifestyle tips into our workday, or these lifestyle practices into our workday, is movement breaks or mobility breaks. And this is directly related to how comfortable we're feeling in our bodies, right? No matter how you slice it, if we're sitting for 6 hours, 8 hours, pretty much uninterrupted, our bodies are not going to be happy, right? There's no posture in the world that's going to make you be able to escape a day of sitting with no consequences. And so incorporating some type of movement snack into your day, even if that's a walk, right? A 5-minute walk can do tons of good for your body because you're getting your hips out of that bent position. You're getting your back, you're giving it some rotation as you're walking, right? When we're sitting at our desks, there's no rotations in our backs usually. And so when we go for a walk, we get a little rotation. It moves the low back. It moves the legs. It gets blood flow to all those muscles that we've been sitting on. Right. Think about what happens when you've been, let's say sitting on one leg for too long. Kind of if you're sitting cross-legged or you're sitting on one leg, your leg falls asleep. That's because you're squishing the muscles and you're squishing the nerves, and they're not getting any blood flow. So when you're spending a ton of time sitting, it's on much lower level, but we're sitting on our sciatic nerve. We're sitting on our hip muscles, we're sitting on our glutes, and they just don't get the same amount of blood flow that they would if we were up and moving. So trying every 25 minutes or so to not only just switch your position, right, move from sitting to standing, but if you can, use some sort of little mobility, a mobility or a blood flow exercise in order to get things feeling a little bit more comfortable or feeling a little bit looser. And I'll give you 2 really easy options, and then we'll kind of call it and take any questions. But the very first option that I'm going to give you guys is just an easy good morning, right? And so a good morning, there we go. A good morning looks like this. We're pushing our hips back, and then we're pushing our hips forward, right? We're getting a little bit of blood flow to the hips, stretch to the hamstrings. And so we can push our hips back, push our hips forward, kind of do a little glute squeeze here. Hips are going back, hips are going forward. So that's a really good way to get some blood flow in. And then the other way is a lunge and a twist, which will look like this. We can get ourselves into a big lunge so that, again, we're opening up the front of the hips. We can get into a big lunge. And we can rotate, again, because that helps give us some trunk rotation that we don't get when we're just sitting at our desks. So we can be here, we can be opening and closing on either side, right? The other leg can go forward. We're getting a big stretch now on the other hip, and we're opening and closing from that position. Okay, so we have the good mornings where we're kind of stretching out the back of the hips, or we're just pushing back and forward, and we've got some lunging and twisting that we can do. Okay, so what I will do now is quickly recap So we talked about how we want to feel at work, which is energized and focused, calm and pain-free or comfortable in our bodies. And we can do this by certain lifestyle tweaks, right? Like paying attention to nutrition, being able to center ourselves if we're getting stressed and wound up, paying attention to our sleep, increasing our movement. And we can bring these things into the office by looking at our work snacks and our work lunches, making sure that we're not choosing choosing foods that are going to spike our blood sugar, but rather ones that keep us nice and stable throughout the day. We can optimize our stress levels by bringing some breathing into the office, like bringing some diaphragmatic breathing into the belly. And then we can also bring it into the office by taking some movement breaks really often. Whether that's a walking break, right? A 5-minute walk to just get the blood flowing, whether it's adding in a specific movement like the ones that we practiced today. So that's how we can bring that into the office. So maybe if you're here, you can throw some questions in the chat, or you can put in the chat maybe where you might be able to start, or what's maybe one thing that you can add into your workday that can help you feel a little bit more focused, or a little bit more comfortable in your body, or a little bit more energetic and alert. Okay, so last little piece here is that if any of this is resonating with you and you want to bring this information to your organization, Dr. T has this cool option where you can book a walking call, right? Great. You get your movement snack at the same time that you get to talk to Dr. T. And you can walk and talk together about some of these concepts and maybe how you can bring it to your own organization. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through any questions going on here. I did get to some of them during, but I'll just check here if we got anything. We talked about PTSD. Yeah, we talked about insomnia. Yeah, thanks so much, Tim, for your questions. Okay. Well, I will let you all get on with your workday then. Again, happy Wednesday. Hopefully you can bring some of these things into your workday so that you're feeling more energetic and less drained by the end of the workday, just waiting for Friday to come around. Okay. Thanks for joining, guys. Bye.